Welcome, Aquarius Rising, Sun or Moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Now let's have a look at Pluto, that has been in Capricorn since 2008 and will be here until 2023 in your 12th house. Now, usually when Pluto moves into a sign and into a house in our charts, it can have the tendency to break things down and build them up as it transfers through this energy. And therefore, Pluto here will have a tendency to clear away and purge old psychic patterns that needs to be healed before a rebuilding of the self can occur. Because once Pluto moves into your first house of Aquarius, which will be in 2023, a whole new self and personality starts to be built up. And before that can happen, there first has to be this clearing out of toxicity and things that are harmful to you and that don't serve you any longer. So you're letting go of a lot of toxic self-sabotaging habits, people, relationships, and this can be with substances, food, anything like that. Now, issues from the past can come up to be transformed into wisdom. You can be confronting your shadow side during this time. That parts of ourselves that we normally try to hide. Sometimes there can be a childish behavior that appears when Pluto transits through here, of past behaviors that we might have used as survival skills in some way. But this is a period where you will be taking back your conscious control and not be controlled by your old subconscious survival patterns. And Pluto is reaching a critical degree in 2022 before it passes over into Aquarius. So it will reach an intensity point where you will be able to feel that intensity more. And this is also a house in general that you want to watch over the next 18 months and over the next year, as Venus will also be retrograding in this part of your chart, and it will also be conjoining Mars and Pluto here. So there's a lot of powerful changes happening here. But there could also have been, this is a long transit, so you might have been through a lot of these things already. It's not the same for everyone, so this would be unique to your chart and your placements natally. But there's also a possibility that through the transit here that you may have alienated someone without realizing it. Or there's maybe someone that became sort of like a secret enemy in a sense. And this kind of transit will bring up the opportunity to deal with that and free them and free yourself from that, and bring in forgiveness, which will then be able to free you from this. But this is also a wonderful time to be seeing a therapist or to be doing deep energy types of healing, or take up a meditative practice, and really deep dive into the deeper spiritual realms of the soul, and really deal with those things that have been holding you back. in some way. And then Neptune is in Pisces and has been since 2011, 2012 until 2025. And this is in your second house. And this is a time where you can be undergoing a reorientation in regards to your material possessions and values. You can be more prone to mistakes when it comes to purchases, big purchases and investments. So you want to be more cautious when you're buying property, when you're investing, any large expensive purchases through a transit like this, because otherwise you could experience some kind of damage or disappointment or loss through it. It's important with this transit to not attach yourself to the material. Neptune teaches us to let go and let God. So this is a time where you may be experiencing a period where you really need to rely on your faith and on God's assistance to get you through certain maybe financial ruts that you've been in, or if you've been feeling very going through a hard time as far as your confidence or your self-worth is concerned, where you'll really be relying on your faith to get through that. During this transit, you want to avoid gambling and dangerous speculation. Your values are being deeply looked at with Neptune here. You usually become more spiritually aware with a transit like this. Your spiritual and moral values and beliefs become quite important to you. You'll also be more have a tendency to talk about these things and talk about really meaningful spiritual topics, because that's what you're finding is of value now. So you might become more detached on a material level, maybe selling stuff, giving things away to charity. Maybe you're minimizing quite a lot. And believing, because you'll start to believe that what you've truly needed has always been there, and that you won't put as much value in things anymore, and it won't be as important for you anymore, to sort of fit in with the Joneses. But you also want to be careful of being misled, and being taken advantage of financially or through scams, also with investments and so forth. So just be extra careful with those types of things. And then Uranus will be in Taurus and has been since 2018 and will be until 2026 in your fourth house. And changes here usually often happen on a very, very most personal level of your life and emotional being. So there can be upsetting events that's evokes a very emotional response. But usually whatever is happening because of changes that you need to make, or maybe changes that you've been avoiding. So it's important to kind of pay attention to where you're feeling a lot of limitation or restriction, and to start loosening the grip in those areas in order for you to just be a bit more flexible in that area. But this is ultimately occurring to free yourself in some way. There can be surprising events connected to your parents, your home, your sense of security, your sense of foundation. There can also be an unconventional way of living during this time, or living in awkward places and spaces, or having unusual experiences, maybe traveling from place to place to place, and not really having like a solid home for a while. Sometimes issues in regarding to your childhood or your past or your roots can come up unexpectedly in some way, or people connected to your past. This can sometimes indicate moving, or even a death, accidental death of some kind. This can also sometimes indicate divorce, accidents in the home. Usually with Uranus here, everything can change because it's also an angular house, so it can affect pretty much every important part of your life. But things can change abruptly and suddenly. Your a rigid foundational sense of security is definitely challenged here. So it can be difficult to, to some degree for some. But this is why it's so important for you to stay as flexible as you can with Uranus going through here. But ultimately, Uranus is shaking up your foundations going through here and your sense of security. And you might have a look at a completely different outlook on the world once it's through this area, because you will let go of your attachment of places, things, ways of being, certain people in your life that you thought you needed in order for you to feel or be secure. There's an independence that's happening here, not being tied down, and there's a freedom to that, and a wholeness to that, where there's almost no need for anything else. And so you kind of realize that you don't need all these things to be secure, but that security comes from within. Initially, with a transit like this, it can sometimes mean like a loss of your roots, or feeling like you don't know where you belong. And then as it transits through, you can regain that feeling, so it won't dominate as strongly. But it does bring up issues from the past that you are forced to face, usually with a transit like this. This can be with your most personal relationships, like your parents and people in your family and your home. Sometimes this transit can mean repairing the home, like there could have been maybe an earthquake or some kind of crack, or things that need to be fixed. But once Uranus is through this area, you are going to feel more free and independent, and free from things holding you down to be a certain way. This transit makes you think out of the box. It puts you in a different headspace. You see things from a different perspective. You'll see home and feel the feeling of belonging in a completely different way once Uranus has been through here. And then Saturn is in Aquarius, and has been since December 2020, and will be here until 2023 in your first house. Now, with Saturn coming in your first house, you have completed important aspects of your soul's journey as it went through your 12th house. So now as it's in your first house, now there's more responsibilities that need to be accomplished. And sometimes this can feel a bit heavy at times, but it is time to do this. This is a new internal type of maturing that needs to happen. It's not advised to start a long-term project that could take years at this time, but it's more a time to focus on your internal world and learning about yourself, as you've spent the last 14 years learning about the world and your role in the world. It's time now to go within the sense of self and do the work there. So you might be asking questions like, what do you really want? How do you want to live your life on your own terms? And figuring out who you really are. So this is more for you to utilize this time. It's important to utilize it, on a serious level at this time, so that you can have a more happy and successful future going forward. But this can be a transit that makes you feel a bit more tired or maybe withdrawn. Maybe you don't want to be in a relationship at this time, or maybe you're just very independent and you just want to be more alone, do things by yourself more, or spend time with people that are older and wiser. But you might be just more, turned inward at this time and find it harder to communicate with others. But this is basically a time where you are learning who you are at the core, and you are unlearning old ways that you used to think about yourself, old ways that you were programmed and that you learned from others. This is about becoming you and doing the internal work. So there's usually outside events that force us to do this work, that brings things to our attention, that makes us feel things, so that we know that there's work needed in this area. So this is a real beautiful time to heal, to work and heal. And then Jupiter will be in Pisces as we start out the year. And this will be in your second house. And then it will ingress into Aries on the 10th of May in your third house. Jupiter will retrograde on the 28th of July and make its way into Pisces again on October 28th, where it'll station direct in November, and then re-enter Aries on the 20th of December 2022. So pretty much in each sign for 6 months this calendar year. Now, Jupiter transiting your second house can be helpful to obtain that which you value more now, whether it's skills, possessions, money, a certain job, or more spiritual values. It is also possible to overspend with this transit or spend on frivolous things. So maintain also a healthy balance on pleasure spending and that which is important. Put a little aside for a rainy day. Sometimes this transit can indicate foreign investments. You might deal a lot more with physical possessions or even buying real estate, maybe even in a faraway place, or dealings with a past loved one's possessions. Your perception and understanding will grow in regard to ownership, possessiveness, spirituality, and emotional and financial security connected to what you own and can show, and all of this in regards to your sense of self-worth. You are not what you earn or what you own. Money can bring temporary bliss and joy, but true happiness comes from acceptance of self and gratitude that permeates into other people's lives. Remember to give with this transit as well. And then Jupiter will be in Aries in your 3rd house. And here you may have the opportunity to advance your knowledge or study in some area. This transit considerably increases your connections and contact with others, maybe foreigners in some cases, or those of higher learning. You may decide to write or read more, learn a new language, buy a car, or travel. Your way of daily commute could change. Relations with your relatives can benefit with this transit, as well as your mind, as now you will be more likely to expand your perceptions and understandings on old limiting belief patterns, prejudices, or any boxed mindedness that may have kept you trapped in some way. You might find yourself thinking and pondering much on philosophy, religion, the law, and tolerance for others, and generosity can increase. You can also have more interest in justice or metaphysics. Communications benefit with Jupiter here, so especially with siblings, friends, neighbors, people in your area that you deal with. Your plans for your future are more expansive and meaningful, but be careful of overcommitting to projects that end up being too much to finish in the end. So stay realistic and remember the details. And then we start the year with Mars in Sagittarius to ingress Capricorn on the 24th of January. And Mars in Capricorn will be in your 12th house. And Mars here is exalted, increases worldly ambition to achieve, is well organized, likes regulated action, and gives practical results. Mars can indicate a prudish sex drive for some. In this case, Mars can probably also indicate sexual pleasures, lovers, love affairs. Mars here can also indicate loss through work, honor, dignity, or through an office, through business associations, or by someone who becomes a secret enemy of some kind. It can sometimes indicate unfortunate environment or conditions, professional secrets of some kind. Sometimes there can be difficulty in employment with Mars here. It can also indicate working behind the scenes or in a faraway place, or sort of separated from others, or feeling like you're not getting the credit you deserve, or you're not being seen. Limitations can be relieved by the study of science or metaphysics. There can be sorrow through relatives. Sometimes this can indicate a secret suffering of some kind. Something maybe that you're sacrificing. And it's really hard for you, but you keep it to yourself. There can be occult learning with this transit, separation from siblings, relatives, neighbors, or trouble through them. You can tend to feel more irritable. You may have a lower energy or feel like you are of low self-worth. you can easily undermine your position or come across in the wrong way at work or with coworkers or people around you. Unconscious behavior patterns can take over, and so you can act sort of inappropriately in a way without even realizing it. And because of this, other people can quietly steer you in a way, because they don't know how to deal with your behavior, and then they can come across as almost like a secret enemy to you. Or there's a possibility that they actually are a secret enemy of you, like sort of working against you because they're uncomfortable with how you behave. But this is a time where you want to confront yourself and work on these behavior patterns, survival patterns that you've had to learn to cope with through life, and to heal this. And sometimes this is a better transit to maybe work by yourself or alone on something, or in some kind of social service area, maybe volunteering or working in a hospital or a prison or a retreat center. This can also indicate maybe going on holiday or wanting to take a vacation and needing to take a break. Or that can mean that you're being hospitalized or maybe going to prison. And this can sometimes also impact your sleep pattern by you not being able to sleep easily. And sometimes it can give you more aggressive feelings. It can also give you more aggressive thoughts and dreams. And there can be a certain amount of danger to this transit, so you don't want to be going, into dangerous places by yourself. And you also sometimes with this transit can have this tendency to gym or work out at night or work at night as well. And then Mars will conjunct Pluto on the 3rd of March at 27 degrees, almost its exaltation of 28 degrees. And usually this can make us want to control whatever is happening around us. It can also stimulate ambition, but can also bring a violent, disruptive, ruthless energy. It can bring about ego conflicts, power games, underhanded action, hidden action, governmental action. This can bring in sort of like work politics as well. This is a time where you want to avoid dangerous places or people or situations. And it is great though for making changes or doing heavy amounts of work if you have a lot of pressure in regards to work. Sometimes you can gain power in some way with this transit. It's important not to abuse this power or use it selfishly. Sometimes this transit can mean the loss of someone or either to death or just a loss. And sometimes there can be something like death affecting a parent. There can be business regarding death or wills or inheritances, or just dealing with like mourning or like a funeral or something like that. Sometimes this can also indicate, like I said, a higher position of some kind or an inheritance. And then Mars will enter Aquarius on the 6th of March in your first house. And this will also trigger the Saturn-Uranus square we've had all of 2021 and will have into 2022. that we've been dealing with the past and the future, the old and the new, restriction versus freedom, and so forth. And you've been probably been feeling this quite a bit in your first and fourth houses of home and a new approach to life, a new sense of self, land, relationships and moving, a parent, relationships with a lover or a business partner, home and work and health, and so forth. Now, with Mars in Aquarius, there is a flair for the innovative, doing things in an original way, in a unique way. And Mars here seeks freedom of action, can be more sexually cool and more unemotional. Now, this can sometimes indicate journeys and removals, concern about affairs of siblings or relatives or neighbors. This can indicate writing, learning, and accomplishments of some kind. Honors being preferred or recognized in some way, merit of some kind, success through effort, gain by a mother or a parent, or some kind of government affair. But in general, this is a busier time in your life where you're working hard to further interests and to assert yourself. This is a chance for you to show the world what you can do. You can usually make a strong impression with this transit. You can be very good at sales if you're dealing with sales at all in any way, or if you're selling anything, it'll go well at this time. If you're selfish, which this transit can make you prone to, it can make you prone to not be as sensitive to other people. It can make difficulty in relationships, love, business, with the public in general. So it can be a good time where it's better for you to work independently in a way, if it's possible, because it'll be harder for you to get along with others, because you won't want to be told what to do. This is also a time where you would be willing to fight for your rights more. You won't allow anyone to take anything from you. You'll have a higher energy. You'll be more motivated and inspired. You'll be able to get a lot done. You'll feel more upbeat and independent. But you want to be cautious for accidents and anger outbursts. Check the condition of your vehicle regularly. Make sure everything's functioning properly. Don't drive too fast. And be careful when using weapons or knives or any machinery or heavy equipment that could be dangerous. Watch impulsivity. And also take care of what your intake is during this time, because you could be dealing more with inflammation, headaches, fevers, that type of thing. And then Mars will conjunct Saturn on the 4th and 5th of April at 22 degrees of Aquarius. And this can be a difficult transit for some. It's a bit frustrating, can be irritating at times, because Mars wants to go and Saturn wants to say no, wait, or slow down, or hold you back in some way. This is a good time to not do anything risky. You may feel you have less energy during this time, or that you can experience anger without being able to express it. So this is a good time to physically work out and get rid of this excess tense energy. It's great for working on something that requires heavy concentration or careful technique or detail-oriented work. Be cautious with machinery, cutting tools, weapons, steel and iron, and all of that. But this can be a great point where you can finally break out of some limiting belief, relationship situation, something that's been suffocating you or holding you back and limiting you and restricting you in some way that you've been wanting to break free from. Because Mars is also squaring Uranus, and this is bringing out that rebel, that impulsive, get me out of here energy. But be careful, as this can also bring you into meeting up with authority figures or the authorities. So just be cautious. This is a time where you really want to be expressing yourself authentically and free, and where you'll be asking yourself if you can really be free in this situation, relationship, belief, whatever it is. And you'll want your independence here. It's easily, with these symptoms, as I call them, you want to use them as a guide and as a signal for you to start making changes in this area of your life if you're feeling like you've reached a boiling point. Because if you don't make changes and become more flexible and get less rigid in this area of your life, and if you don't become more free here, the universe will do it for you, and then it could be more painful or traumatic or just more uncomfortable. So, follow your gut, start making changes, do things differently, think outside of the box, and make it new. You have to be more cautious for accidents. New challenges require new solutions. And then Mars will be in Pisces as of the 15th of April in your second house. And this is just after the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on the 12th of April. But with Mars here, you could lack motivation or have a lack of confidence in some way in order to function. And Mars functions best under clear direction in Pisces and prefers a more quiet, peaceful atmosphere to be as productive as it can be. You do have a more affectionate and romantic energy with this transit. There can be gain financially by industry, trade, profession, or government office. There can be financial connections through educational affairs, short journeys, music. There can be trouble with relatives in regards to financial matters. There can be trouble financially with Mars here. In some cases, this can indicate that you identify your ego with what you own. You may equate your self-worth with what you earn or do for a living. It's important to know that you are not what you own or do or earn. Arguments about values, morals, beliefs, opinions, and their worth can occur with this transit. Disputes over use of property, ownership, and so forth can lead to estrangement from others. You can have a strong desire for possessions with this transit, and this can equate to wasteful and impulsive spending. This can sometimes indicate using your possessions to help you work or gain an income of some kind, or maybe you're selling possessions. It's important to not shove your beliefs down other people's throats with this transit, because you'll probably be wanting to talk or debate about strong feelings with this transit. But you'll very much be dealing with, weighing out values and issues in regards to self-worth. It's also important to watch how you eat at this time, and using harsh words or eating too fast and possibly choking or something like that. Mars will conjunct Neptune on the 17th of May and at 24 degrees of Pisces. And this can sometimes bring about strange feelings being more irritable or feeling discouragement or feeling like you're unable to do something. Sometimes you can feel inferior to some degree or useless in a way. Also be careful of being taken for a ride or being or acting on a delusion of some kind. You want to watch unhealthy escapism habits at this time, like alcohol and drugs. You don't want to really start anything new with this transit. But it is a great transit for serving others or volunteering or spending time with people that are less fortunate or working in a hospital. Sometimes this can indicate being hospitalized or spending time in a sort of in separation. But this is a time where you want to rest and you don't want to push your body too hard. You can be of lower energy at this time with a lower sex drive, but you could be more romantic and more spending time making music or listening to music or writing poetry or making some kind of art project or film or something of that sort. And then Mars will ingress Aries on the 24th of May in your third house. And Mars here is dignified, likes direct and immediate action, is more aggressive, impulsive. It goes for what it wants. It's got more courage. It's more brave. It's got energy and it's competitive. But it can also bring haste, which can lead to accidents, injuries, and so forth. You'll have a stronger sex drive with Mars here. There can be benefits through learning, accomplishments, writings, short journeys, and relatives. There can be respect among neighbors, relatives, gain through partners, relatives, business trips, and government commissions. But in general, you'll be busier in your everyday life. And your neighborhood and environment can be a lot busier as well. There's more action there. There can also be more danger in everyday life or possibilities of accidents or violence. Also in connection with friends, neighbors, relatives, and siblings. But positively, this is great to work on something together with some of these people I mentioned, and to work on relationships with these people. It's great for selling a product of some kind. It's great for intense mental work and focus. And then we have Mars conjuncting Jupiter on the 29th of May at 3 degrees of Aries. And this is great for energy, physical activity. So after this little bit of a slump, with Mars here in Aries and conjuncting Jupiter, we're feeling better. We've got more confidence. We've got more energy. We're more optimistic. But it's important to not get overconfident. Or foolish, or think that you know everything, or promise things you can't keep, because otherwise those actions can lead to accidents or humiliation of some kind. Be cautious in speculation, but this can also be a lucky, blessed type of transit. This is also great for muscle building, muscle growth. If you are a bodybuilder of some kind, it's great to assist with childbirth, this energy. And then we have Mars entering Taurus, your fourth house, on the 5th of July. And Mars here is in detriment, which just means that it is usually more slower and methodical when it starts something, slower to initiate something, but it boosts practical direction and determination, and it gives purposeful action. With Mars here, there can be more of a focus on gains and gaining financial security. Mars likes to work with money, likes to work with the earth and earthly materials, gardening, farming, pottery, self-sustaining, your own security, and so forth. Mars here also gears more towards a basic sensual sex drive. This can sometimes indicate gain by parents or through like property, land. Sometimes there's an interest in reclamation, cooperative movements, horticulture, mining, architecture, archaeology, travel and writing, connected with home affairs and property, or sometimes this can indicate trouble with relatives over home affairs or property of some kind. But basically, Mars here can stir up unconscious childhood behavior patterns from the past. So you can sometimes act inappropriately. Sometimes this can even cause you to fight something you don't understand. So this is important to work on healing these subconscious patterns in order for you to have better relationships with your loved ones as well as with yourself going forward. Because this can make it hard for others to deal with you at this time. Mars here can also indicate being busy at home or working from home or working on your home, building a home. You maybe really want things a certain way, and this can bring conflict and domestic strife, even accidents. You might feel like you don't want to live with other people at this time and you want to move out or you want to live alone. And there can sometimes be difficulty with parents with this transit, a dispute over land or the use of it. Sometimes there can be accidents or injuries in the home, so you want to be careful of that, especially working with tools and so forth. You want to keep a low profile at work with this transit because there can be sometimes opposition or blockage from work in some way. And then Mars will also conjunct Uranus and the North Node at 18 degrees Taurus on the 1st of August. And this can bring sudden upsets, disruptions, surprises, financial losses or gains or volatility here, also in your sense of security. Plans can be derailed. There can be freakouts. This kind of energy is a break-free energy from limitation. It's a rebellious energy. Accidents here usually are self-inflicted due to the nature of this energy. It's better to avoid driving fast or working with machinery, tools, weapons, anything that could harm you, especially if you're angry. It is a great energy, though, for creating a new project or being innovative, working out, to channel this energy, thinking outside of the box. This is a time where you'll want to really assert your individuality. And this is also where there's sort of a crisis point with this nodal degree being conjuncted as well. And there can be, sudden events in your family life or your private or professional life with a family member. It can be birth, property, just unusual circumstances and work and home. And then there can also be, with the South Node in your 10th house at this time, be a tendency to push you towards less work and more family time or more time with the kids. or a change of work position, or sometimes this can maybe be a complete change of jobs, or maybe you quit your job or you lost a job and you're spending more time at home for a while, or working more from home than necessarily out there in the world. But usually this can be just reprioritizing between work and home, and focusing, realizing maybe through sudden upsetting events that, or just sudden surprises, that you really need to value your family and home more. And let's have a look at the retrogrades for 2022. Mercury will be retrograding from air to earth, from Aquarius to Capricorn, Gemini to Taurus, and Libra to Virgo. Now, all the general Mercury retrograde topics would apply. I'm just going to go through them again for you, such as mental activity, anxiety, misunderstandings, transportation and communication issues, mistakes, loss of passwords, loss and damage to electronics, email errors, theft, retesting, redoing, re-evaluating, changing your mind, reversals, people from the past saying hello, bank errors, card errors, electricity, internet outages, car malfunctioning, mechanical fault issues, a pipe bursting, a fridge not working all of a sudden, the wrong number, rerouted traffic, accidents, and so forth. So it's better to not buy new electronics, sign contracts you cannot get out of, or start new things if possible. Rather wait, review things, adjust, plan, go over the details, prep and prepare, go through schedules and routines, and so forth during this time. Now, there will be a Mercury retrograde from 10 degrees Aquarius to 24 degrees of Capricorn for 21 days, from January 14th until the 4th of February. And topics included here collectively is people and organizations, friends, alliances, groups, political groups, co-workers, could all be showing their true colors during this time. Your future hopes and wishes and goals, markets and supply lines, legislation, social lives, freedom and individuality, our rights, the collective, radio frequencies, the internet and electronics, AI, governmental changes, imbalances, career, property, commitments, hard work, sadness, separation, serious responsibilities, teeth, bones, minerals, and all of the above can be topics that we could be dealing with collectively at this time. Now, for you, this is taking place in your 1st and 12th houses. But altogether, I would say that it is your 1st, 12th, 8th, and 5th houses in general that could be playing a role here. So this can be other people's money, debts, taxes, wills, legacies, your spouse's income, shared resources with your spouse or a business partner, shared property, those types of things can come under this, secrets, and wounds from the past. Then there's the 5th house with children, hobbies, creative projects, self-employment, how you have fun, entertainment, friends, freedom, sport, things you like to do in your free time, laughter. The 1st house is you, your health, yourself, your sense of self, your look, how other people see you, your approach to life and how you communicate. And the 12th house, which is secrets, It's self-sabotaging behaviors, it's secret enemies, it's faraway places, it's endings, and it is subconscious behavior coping mechanisms from the past. It's our psychology and our mental health. So all of these things could be affected, as well as your sleep patterns and dreams. And then Mercury will also retrograde from 4 degrees of Gemini to 26 degrees of Taurus from May 10th to the 3rd of June for 24 days. And so all the general Mercury retrograde topics would apply here, as well as people being brutally honest. There can be more gossiping, poking noses, flights delayed, schedules abrupted, plans derailed. So make sure you plan, rethink, double check, proofread. Direct communication is best. All across the board in the world, we could see a lot more chaos with financial matters, banking, markets, agriculture, values, skills, work, what we do for a living, how we work for a living, how we invest, what we spend our money on. It's important to rethink how we spend, how we invest, how we earn, and stay flexible. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be flexible so you can change with sudden shocks and events and sudden turnarounds. And this can affect you most likely in your 5th, 8th, and 4th houses. So like I already went over your 5th and 8th houses. So let's add on the 4th house, which is home, family, your roots, your most innermost emotional feelings and being, your past, your childhood, parents, maybe a father, and yes, your home and family. And then Mercury will retrograde from 8 degrees Libra to 24 degrees of Virgo from September 10th to the 2nd of October for 22 days. And basically everything Libran and Virgo ruled are kind of out of balance at this time, such as grace, charm, diplomacy, collaborations, contracts and agreements, relationships in love and business, the law, justice, fairness, peace and harmony, compromise, cooperation. These things are mostly off balance. You can maybe be rethinking your style, your look, your financials, your investments, your values, your comfort levels, manipulation, give and take. Issues such with public health, COVID topics, employment, work, mental health, alternative health methods, and so forth can also be coming up in general. And for you, this can be affecting your 9th, 10th, your 8th and 5th houses, as mentioned. And let's add the 9th house to this one, which is foreign places, faraway places, higher learning. So it can be like maybe you got to retake a test or retake a course, or you're dealing with other people's opinions or old belief patterns from the past. This can be religiously connected philosophy, beliefs, dreams, teachers, students, and visions of the future. And then Venus will retrograde from the 19th of December to the 29th of January 2022, conjunct Pluto. So we start the year with Venus retrograde in Capricorn from 23 degrees to 11 degrees of Capricorn. So as I said to you before, this is an important house to watch. Venus in Capricorn in general is a slow love energy. It's a less emotional energy. It's more of a business love, money for love, love for money, business marriages, mercenary intentions, old money, age differences in love, love separated, mature love, love occupied, unavailable, restricted, forbidden in some way, love at work. There can be more issues in connection to jealousy, manipulation, obsession, power struggles, possessiveness, abuse of power, power moves in regards to property, banking, currency, money, values. This is supported love. This is mourning love that's gone. With this Venus and Capricorn energy, Venus is very sophisticated. She knows what she wants. She wants to feel secure in her financial situation, in her love situation. She wants to know that it's going to be long lasting, that it's sustainable. This transit can make us decorate our work areas or restyle our wardrobe and into a more mature, sophisticated style. When Venus retrogrades, issues of love, money, values, beauty, pleasure, sweet things, our values, our work, our investments, our love and business relationships, our comfort levels all come up for review. Old relationships can return or issues regarding it. Unexpected expenses can pop up. We can feel more lazy in that area of our lives. This is not a great time to start new relationships, or if you are, don't take it to the next level while Venus is retrograde or in shadow. So don't get married, don't get engaged. Don't make big investments or big purchases, as you could probably have buyer's remorse after this retrograde. Your self-worth can be going through questioning here. What your currency is, what is your truth. Avoid beauty procedures. And so forth. We'll probably also see more news topics in regards to expensive art, work, or projects during this time. And you might decide to go for teeth cleaning or teeth whitening during this time. We'll also most likely see more revelations in connection to sex trafficking and sexual abuse and scandals at that time as well. And for you, this will be happening in your 12th house. So you might feel like you want to sleep more. You're a bit more lazy, even if you don't realize it. You may feel that you don't want therapy if you're dealing with some kind of addiction. You could be eating or drinking too much. You might want to move or let go of things. You may feel more uncomfortable alone at this time, but yet you feel alone. So this is a time where you really want to reach out and ask for help if you feel like you've kind of lost your way. And to really get assistance if needed. Try and stay away from drugs or alcohol or any unhealthy escapism, habits at this time. But this too shall pass, and maybe just spend more time resting, meditating, deepening your spiritual knowledge, and asking yourself what is really of value here as a soul journeying through this body. What is your soul's purpose, and diving deeper into the meaning of life. And then Mars will retrograde from the 30th of October till the 12th of January 2023 for 63 days, from 25 degrees of Gemini to 8 degrees of Gemini. Now, Mars will also be in mutual reception with Mercury in Scorpio, so your Scorpio and Gemini houses will be kind of working together. Now, Mars is our willpower, it's our passion, it's our action. And when Mars is retrograde, we are usually less assertive. Our energy levels can be affected. We have a lower sex drive. It's usually better to complete and finish already started projects. And be mindful of anger and frustration, channeling it appropriately by working out and releasing tension. It's better to be repairing, redoing, reworking, renovating, building a website, strategizing, planning, getting your admin out of the way, that kind of thing, while Mars is retrograde in Gemini. Over the general board, we could be seeing more accidents, arguments, debates, cities in chaos, transportation issues, car explosions, verbal arguments, verbal diarrhea, mental and physical movement or overdoing it, information in the media, things happening there, technology being affected. We can see more shoplifting and theft during this time. And very much the same energy as you would get with a Mercury retrograde is what you can also expect with Mars retrograde in Gemini. It's going to also be a lot of mechanical issues and so forth. We might have more blockages and not get as much done as we'd normally like to, but Mars can be helpful in helping us to slow down and reflect on our desires, to think and analyze what upsets us and why, and where is it coming from. Also be more cautious when driving, because you can be more accident prone with this transit. You can rethink your driving with this transit, your vehicle, your neighborhood, where you live, how you communicate with your relatives, friends, siblings, and neighbors. You can have a sharper tongue and use harsh words, so you want to be careful. You're more busy and more impulsive usually with this kind of transit, so be careful of injuring your muscles or dislocating joints or cutting arms, hands, and fingers. Lungs are more sensitive during this time, more susceptible to asthma and inflammation, usually, and anxiety. Sometimes this transit can indicate restudying or retesting something. There can be more gossip, rumor, and fraudulent schemes during this time. There can be changes in relationships and communications. The mind can be more fragile but more sharp. You can get in trouble for what you say with this transit, even if it's funny or a joke. Freedom of speech and movement can come up at this time. Erotic fantasies and dirty talk. Being more curious. Being more active in your neighborhood. There can also be more of a tendency to fight for your opinions and beliefs. And this can affect you primarily in your 5th house, and then also work together in some way with your 10th. So issues in regards with and connected to children, new relationships, new love romances, love affairs, wanting to play more and work less. This can be an ex that shows up in your life. There can be some kind of mistake. This can sometimes mean many dates or no dates at all. Not being able to find a suitor. This can sometimes indicate, and this will be working in connection with your 10th house of your life direction, your career, your status, and your reputation, and your general relationship also connected to your parents. And then Jupiter will retrograde from the 28th of July till the 23rd of November for 118 days from 8 degrees of Aries to 28 degrees of Pisces. And Jupiter in Aries can bring about new leadership in some ways. And here we can review things we want to start or take further or expand. We can be overconfident, over-optimistic, arrogant, selfish, more accident-prone, promise things we don't deliver. We can make big mistakes, but also big growth. We can do big advancements, big changes. We can initiate big things. But we want to keep things realistic and in moderation, not be all-knowing, and stay humble with this transit. Sometimes there can be liver issues indicated by this. What spiritual lessons are you here to learn, you may ask? Where can you be less about yourself and more about others? This is an opportunity to create your own luck as well. You want to watch impulsiveness, anger, flare-ups, mechanical issues. You don't want to play with fire during this time. What is happening that you need to learn from? Or who are you to learn from? Or what are you teaching others? What is your truth about personal growth? This is about your personal growth. While retrograde in Pisces, we can be reviewing visions, ideals, beliefs. We're more compassionate normally with this transit, with more of an emphasis on the meaning of life, our innermost authentic selves, our deeper values, morals, our integrity and beliefs. We turn more spiritually inwards, and we become more aware of our connectedness to God, to each other, to the universe, and not be swayed by what makes us different from each other and what separates us. And this can primarily affect you in your third and second houses. And you can be asking, are you taking more than you give? You can be getting involved in the community more, wanting to give back. You can be speaking your truth on issues during this time, helping others grow stronger in the community, maybe being some kind of mentor. You could be focusing more on inner resources, values. There can be a highlighting of unused skills, talents, and going back to using what you have and showing your talent that you may have forgotten about. And then Saturn will retrograde from the 4th of June to the 23rd of October from 25 degrees Aquarius to 18 degrees Aquarius for 141 days. And with Saturn retrograde, we review committed and serious relationships, our reality, our life goals, our direction, our foundation, our responsibilities, and our duties. And these are in for rebalancing and restructuring, how we manifest our reality. And Saturn reminds us of the aspects of life we cannot avoid: rules, responsibilities, length of life, our skin color, taxes, restrictions, commitments, and time itself, or physical limitations even. And the areas that it affects requires restructuring in some way. We can sometimes experience delays, frustrations, blockages, sometimes endings or separations, or a callousness or a hardness, a coldness, a sadness, a loneliness with this energy. You can become aware of a false sense of security with Saturn retrograde here. There can be a lull in daily pressures with this transit and more of a focus on who you are becoming. Allegiances to groups can be tested. You could jump ship from some or join or not agree with certain alliances and friendships. You can be cutting friends or partners or close relationships, or even just separating from some. Now the nodal axis, which gives our moon's ecliptic path and determine the eclipse placements, moves into a fixed sign polarity on the 19th of January 2022, with the north node in Taurus ruled by Venus and the south node in Scorpio ruled by Mars. So this is our financial power and control, security axis. And collectively, we'll be dealing more with issues regarding boundaries and freedom, as also the Saturn-Uranus square will be activated with this. We'll be dealing with topics such as the necessary versus the unnecessary. Where can we simplify and be more manageable? Where can we let go, recycle, reuse, repurpose, minimize, detox? What do you really need? Getting rid of clutter, releasing unnecessary structures, mine versus yours, obsession, power, jealousy, control, manipulation, bullying, stubbornness, breaking, agriculture, land, equality, taxing, fairness, wounds, abuse of power, sexual scandals and secrets, new currencies, new financial systems, online financial systems, medicine, energy medicine, communities, sharing resources, food. This is a more stubborn, determined, all or nothing, brave energy. We'll be more wanting to let go of anything toxic in our bodies, anything toxic relationship-wise, belief-wise, anything that's not serving us anymore, becoming more survival, but I prefer the term more purified, healing our wounds, creating our own security, becoming more self-sustaining and independent, more living off of the earth, cutting back to basics, growing our own food, and letting go of fear and uncovering truth, and living fully now and giving it your all, and being fully aware of your truth, and being willing to give an all or nothing towards what you stand for. Now with eclipses, we have about a 6-month effect with these, sometimes longer or shorter, depending on other cycles and aspects involved. The veil is thin with eclipse time, and this is a portal for souls to enter and exit. This is where fated turnarounds can happen, truths be revealed. You can have a sudden different direction of where you're going, transformations. And this eclipse season, you can think back to 2004, where we had similar placements for these eclipses. It'll be in the same areas of your chart, the same houses. So you can think back of themes that you may have visited at that time. Now we will have a solar eclipse in Taurus in your 4th house on the 30th of April. And this is a new beginning, a new leaf being turned, a new seed of intention, a fresh start in the area of your home. So this can be a new family member. This can be a new home. This can be something new, maybe a new relationship or a new connection in regards to parents, something new with a parent. There can be a new leaf being turned around emotionally in your innermost being. Maybe something you've kept to yourself, or something connected to past behavioral patterns, from wounding from the past, from your childhood. There can be something connected here to your family tree, or your roots, or your homeland, and so forth. This can also be a new property that's being purchased, or like I said, a new home or moving. And then there will be on the 16th of May, a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 10th house. And this is a culmination, an ending, a fruition, or something coming to fulfillment or coming to a head in your 10th house of career and life direction, reputation, status, your parents, possibly a mother. And so this can be a new job, a new life direction. This can be a marriage or a change of status in some way. This can be a marriage ending. This can be a job ending, or some specific assignment at work that's finishing up, some kind of public performance of some kind that is finishing up at this time, or just a complete change of direction or career at this time. Then there is also a solar eclipse in your Scorpio 10th house on the 25th of October in the same house. So this is a new beginning again. So maybe this is where you start a new career or a new position, or you gain a different status here. Maybe you're getting married after getting divorced, or maybe you're single now. Your status is new. This can be just a new life direction, a new outlook on your purpose in life and how your place in the world from here on out. This can also be something new with a parent. And then on the 8th of November, there's a lunar eclipse in Taurus in your 4th house. And that is an ending or culmination or something coming to fruition in the area of home. So maybe if you've purchased a home, you'll be moving into this soon, like it's coming to that fulfillment point. Or maybe you are finally getting ready to move out and leave this home behind. This can also be a child leaving the house, or this can be letting go of a parent to another dimension. This can just be moving in general, or being done with something in connection to your past or your lineage or your roots, or selling a property or a home of some kind. Well, Aquarius Rising, thank you for allowing me to guide you through the astrology potentials for 2022. I also have a collective general potentials for 2022 video that I'll put in the description that you can check out if you like. Please remember also that everything I've mentioned is just potentials. It is not guarantees. Every person has their own unique birth and natal placements that also interact with all of these planetary movements, and each person's chart is uniquely affected. These are just the general possibilities. It doesn't mean that it'll necessarily happen that way for you. But I tend to sometimes go a bit more negative, simply because I just want people to be better prepared. We don't always need to be prepared as much for positive things as for negative things. So I tend to just sort of, give it all to you. Do with that as you may. You are definitely going through a huge purifying and cleansing time of purifying and purging the old and that which no longer serves you and that which has been toxic out of your life. You're getting a revamp in work and home areas of your life. This is a very exciting year for you with turning points, powerful turning points. And I wish you the best. You have what it takes to get through this. You've got your unique, authentic, out-of-the-box ways of attacking challenges, and you will get through this. Remember that there's always good and bad with everything, and when you deal with the bad, remember that it is for your ultimate good and your soul's growth and journey, and that what is for you cannot pass you by. May God bless you and keep you. May the sun shine bright on you this day and year. Until next time.